Kanika's kitchen. We're back in from the garden. Been picking some green beans this morning. Our garden is really taking off. Been feeling very blessed. It's late July, so our beans are just now starting to produce, but they're looking good. These are white half runners. That's all anybody around here grows. I don't know why. They grow well and they taste good and they're easy to string, I guess. But that's what we grow and that's what everybody else grows. As far as my canning process goes, that's what I'm going to show you today, how I can my green beans. Mine's pretty straightforward. I know some people blanch theirs, and I think this is actually the first year I've heard of people blanching green beans before you can them. And I think the logic is it helps kill more bacteria, and I think it also helps brighten up your beans, make them all pretty and green. But and blanching is when you boil them, and then most of the time you put them in like an ice bath to stop the cooking. But I don't know if you blanch them first when canning, or you just take them out of the boiling water and then put them straight in your jars. I don't know. You're not gonna see that in this video. Like I said, like I've never heard of that before, and everybody around here, if they can green beans. Everybody's got like green beans on their shelves, and nobody I've talked to blanches them first. So if you want to, go ahead. That's fine. I think you only have to blanch them or boil them for like a couple of minutes. So it's an extra step. If you want to do it, go ahead. I don't see any harm in it. I'm just, like I said, you're not gonna see it in this video. This is pretty straightforward. We're just gonna like raw pack them in some water, and I'm gonna add some salt pork to them. In true southern fashion, we got to cover up that vegetable taste with a little bit of pork fat. But I'll show you all that. To start with, we do have to string and break our beans, which is very tedious. So I'm going to try to maybe talk the kids into helping me out. They're still young enough, they think it's fun. Maybe I can make a little bit of a game out of it. But I'm going to turn you around here and show you exactly what we're working with. This is roughly 9 pounds of fresh picked green beans. And you do want to try to can them the same day you pick them. As far as stringing them goes, I like to start at this end, and you just kind of break. Pull that, and then when you get to the end, snap that off. And then, oh, there's your string. You gotta make sure you get these off, otherwise they're terrible to eat. They're just really chewy, you can't eat them. And then some people actually go through and cut them. We just break them. So there you go, you're breaking beans. As I go through these, I'll kind of go through and pick out any undesirable ones. Like this one, it looks a little bit old. It's kind of sad. It was on there too long. Or if I find any with like insect damage, like, yeah, that one looks like it's something's got a hold of it. I won't use these. I'll just discard them. I don't know if the chickens eat green beans or not. We'll have to find out. But I'm going to find a comfy spot to sit and do all these green beans just like this. Whenever I get them all broken up, I'll meet back up with you all, and we'll move on to the canning process. So we've got 7 wide mouth quart jars is what I like to use for my beans. I've got my lids and rings over here in a bowl just to kind of keep everything organized. These are not sterile, they're just clean, just soap and water. You don't have to worry about sterilizing when you pressure can. And I want to go through and fill these about halfway. And then I'll go back and add the secret ingredient, which is salt pork. So I just do it this way, so I'm not like going back and forth touching the salt pork with like every jar. I'll just put a glove on and then I'll drop it down in every jar. And I feel like just putting it in the middle kind of, I don't know, in my mind it helps distribute the flavor. It probably doesn't even matter. You can probably just put the salt pork in first and then add in your beans. This is just how I do it. It makes sense to me. The kids did help me with the beans, so every now and then you see a big one. I like them just kind of bite size. They do cook down a little bit in the pressure canner. Alright, I don't know how many quarts this will make. I'll be curious to find out. Like I said, we started off with about 9 pounds of beans. Alright, let me get a glove on and open up my salt pork. Alright, I'm just using gloves just so I don't have to wash my hands over a little bit because this is raw meat, raw pork. My favorite brand for this is the Smithfield. I haven't been able to find that in a long time, like, yeah, since 2020 when things kind of got crazy. And you can use whatever kind of meat. If you want to add meat, you don't even have to. Like I said, I just like the flavor. You can use like smoked ham hocks. That's a really good one and pretty affordable. Bacon if you can find it. That's really expensive though. I don't know if I'd add that. But salt pork is kind of in the middle. It's fairly cheap by today's standards, I guess. And it does add a lot of flavor, but I probably won't add a salt pork to all of my beans if I wind up packing a whole like 150, or 150. If I wind up packing like 50 or over 50 that I'm hoping for, I probably want to do salt pork in all of them. And if I don't, I'll just add like salt and water. And they'll be just delicious too. Alright, now we're going to top it off. Go. We did do dry onion soup mix one year. I did not care much for that. And I know some people do chicken broth as well. I've not tried that before. Or maybe even just like the better than bouillon chicken. I use that a lot, but I've never done it on my beans. There you go. I strung the beans and my 2-year-old broke them, so some of them are little uneven, but that's okay. I was happy for the help. I like getting them involved in stuff like this. Yeah, even if he does slag off a little bit. I know people also can potatoes with their green beans sometimes. I've done that before. It's okay. We much prefer just beans. But sometimes, like, especially towards the end of the season, if my beans are kind of on their way out, I'll can some with the potatoes, just kind of make them stretch a little bit more. But this is our favorite way to do it. And this is technically called raw packing. I'm not cooking anything. Everything is raw. And it'll cook down in the pressure canner, including the meat. The only downside with the meat is you do have to process it longer. Same with the potatoes. If you add anything to it, you process it. Let's see, how can I say it? The whatever you put in the jar, whatever item or ingredient has the longest processing time, that's what you go by. If you only have beans, I think it is 20 for pints, 20 minutes for pints, and 25 for quarts. That's just beans. No potatoes, no meat, nothing. Just beans and water or broth, whatever you want to put in it. But since we're adding the meat, we're going to do 90 minutes for quarts, which is kind of a long time. But now, honestly, I've done it both ways, like I said, and I can't tell a huge difference in the beans. They're soft regardless. Like you're putting them in the pressure canner, they're going to be soft, but I can't tell a huge difference between like the 25 minutes and the 90 minutes, surprisingly. Alright, now some people put boiling water in there to hurry up and make their jars hot and everything. That's another step I don't bother with. Trying to make this as simple as possible. Oops, throwing my beans out. I just add just water from my Berkey water filter over here. It's room temperature. My beans are room temperature. My meat's a little cold, but not bad. I am filling these to 1 inch of headspace. Whenever I add my water, I'll maintain that headspace. Now I'm looking at it. It is pretty. The ratio doesn't look quite right. And we don't eat the salt pork. It seems a little wasteful, but it is. It's just for flavor. This is just like salted raw pig belly. Kind of like it's pretty much your bacon, but a little bit fattier. So we do when we open it up, we usually just discard the salt pork, or if it's not real salty, we'll give it to the dog. But if it's still real salty, we'll just discard it. All right, pack it down while I'm at it. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that now. Alright, now I'll show you the super easy way I fill these up. Alright, so we got our Berkey water filter. This is what we drink out of. These are drinking water. And all I do is this, and I just fill them up one at a time. Sometimes if I'm planning ahead, I'll go ahead and fill up like a water pitcher, and that's a little bit easier, but that's it. And there's our water, and we'll do this 6 more times. Alright, we got our jars filled to 1 inch of headspace. And now we're just going to go through and debubble. It is a little bit of a challenge with the beans. They're kind of hard to, I kind of do just like a little jabbing motion. And you want to kind of tuck everything back down in there. Make sure you're maintaining that headspace. I don't think I'll add any salt or seasoning to this since I've got the salt pork. That's going to be most of our flavor. But if you don't have anything, if you want to add some salt or seasoning, this will be the time to do it. I've tried a few different things in the past, but usually just salt and water is the best thing. If you don't have any like meat to go in it to season it, give it some flavor. Right. There you go. And I'll show you guys how I prep my jars, but I don't know if I'll show you the whole canning process. Let me know what you think, because I feel like I'm getting a little bit repetitive, showing you how to can this stuff every video. But let me know what you think. If you like seeing the whole process, let me know, and I'll continue to do that. But if you're just kind of like, yeah, we know how to run a pressure canner, I'll kind of hold back on that. Maybe do it like every few videos. Ugh, the flies. Terrible in the summertime. But this is how we're going to prep. I kind of pack everything back down. There you go. And I'll wipe down my counters really good after this as well. Alright, next step, we're going to wipe off our rims. If you have anything on your rims that can cause your lids not to seal, that would stink. You don't want to go through all this and not be able to store your beans. Right. Okay. And that was just a wet paper towel, just water. You can use vinegar as well, doesn't matter. Vinegar sometimes does a better job of breaking down if you got something like real fatty. If you're canning something real fatty, you may have some of that fat on the rims, it's easier to, vinegar does a better job of breaking that down. But for this, I just use water. Now we're putting on our lids and our rings, and I'm just tightening them to fingertip tight. So you don't want to put your wrist into it and get it too tight. Go. Alright, so we've got 7 quarts of green beans ready to go in the canner. Like I said, I'm only going to show you the whole process in this video. Let me know though in the comments how you feel about it. Like I said, I feel like I'm just getting a little bit repetitive showing you that in every video. But since these have meat in it, I'm just going to process them for 90 minutes. For my altitude, it's 15 pounds of pressure. There we go. You can consult your canner manual how much pressure you need. The next batch I'll do, they'll be, I think I'm just going to do beans, and they'll be 25 minutes per quart. But these will be 90, and I'll show you all my finished product, and we'll see how many quarts I wind up with out of 9 pounds of beans.
Okay guys, it has been a few weeks since I started this video. I've been canning up a storm. I don't know if I said it in the video, but my goal was to do 52 quarts of green beans, which sounds like a random number, but there are roughly 52 weeks in a year, and I wanted a quart of beans for every week for us to eat on. And as we speak, I am 51 quarts and 1 pint. So I'm like, it's close. But the good news is I did go pick I didn't quite fill up my 5-gallon bucket, but we picked some more beans, so I will definitely meet my goal for the year. Very excited. I believe when I left you guys, I had canned 9 pounds of beans, and I wound up with 9 quarts and my little pint right here. Now these up here are just water and a little bit of salt. Or these in the front. I did them a few different ways. I'll show you. These are some smoked neck bones. There we go, from our pig. I didn't know what else to do with them. So I threw them on the smoker when I was smoking something else, and I just tossed them in my beans. The ones that we did have the salt pork. Ah, there they are. Can you see the little bit of salt pork right there? So remember, the ones with meats I did 90 minutes, and then the ones with just water and salt, those were 25 minutes for the quarts. I also did down here. Yeah, now this was some raw neck bones. I didn't bother smoking them, and that's kind of what that cloudiness is. Whenever you do a raw pack, you tend to get that. But I also put some potatoes from our garden in there. So, I think I said before, we like the green beans, just straight green beans better, but this kind of helps bulk them up a little bit too. But yeah, I'm sorry, it's been a while, and I apologize for that, but the garden just exploded. If y'all garden and can, you know how that goes. Kind of hits us like end of July, early August, but very thankful, very tired. But we've definitely been blessed this year, and I am really pleased I'm going to meet my green bean goal. But thank y'all so much for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more. But like I said, thanks so much for watching. I hope y'all come back and see me.